bless her heart for not being here. She wanted to so bad. So we talked, a lot of this is coming from her too. So I'm no Fallon, but I'll do my best. And Kristen is here. Right. So taking ownership of the momentum that you have. Okay, you're in this momentum, so you're maintaining momentum. Everyone goes through these periods, right? So taking ownership of that means you're working harder than anyone on your team.
Ooh, say that again.
You are working harder than anyone on your team. You're in momentum. You might have some people and some legs under you flying, but that does not mean you get to take a back seat to this momentum and watch them go and think, yeah, I'm helping them. Right? You are taking ownership. You are working harder than anyone on your team. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. It goes back to everything that Christina was talking about. What you do affects your team's actions or what you don't do. So your decisions, your excuses, your work ethic, what you are doing or not doing, that directly is correlating with what they either are doing or will be doing, because they're going to see what you do. If you take a back seat to your momentum, guess what they're going to do? They're going to take a back seat to theirs. If that duplicates, your momentum is not lasting. You want to keep that going, and you're going to keep that going as much as you can by working the hardest. The team is going to do half of what you do. It gets watered down, right? That goes back to that duplication. Everything is getting watered down the deeper that you go. So you need to be the one leading that. The highest leader never slows down. So this is a good example that you can elaborate on here. But if you are working out and you want to be strong like Christina here, and you go out and you're putting all the work in, and you are working super hard. I mean, you're changing your diet, you're in the gym, you have a personal trainer, you're doing all the things, you're being consistent every day, you're going to start to see really big results, right? Well, I look good, I got good results, so I don't need to change my diet anymore, and I'll just show up a couple days a week, and I'll lift 2-pound weights instead. How's that going to do to your momentum of strength?
It's going to slow it all down. It's going to turn all that muscle right back into flabbiness.
Right? So, same with your team. If you're in that momentum and all of a sudden, and this goes to identifying momentum for what it is. You touch base on this so many times. You can get into momentum and you might not even realize that you're in momentum, and before you know it, you are struggling and you're tired. And there's so much going on, and you are exhausted, you have excuses, and you need a break, and all this is going on, and before you know, that slows down before you realize, hey, I was in momentum, and now I'm slowing that down because I feel like I need a break.
You want to know the antidote for being tired and exhausted? Create leaders. Mm-hmm. Create leaders. You know what helps carry momentum? Lots of people pushing it together. Mm-hmm. Create leaders.
Mm-hmm. So, what are you focusing on? When you are in momentum, you are going to focus on who is bringing in the joins, right? You're going to put your time in who is bringing in the joins, and you're going to identify your leaders, and you're going to work with them, and sometimes that means looking at your levels 2, 3s, and down. Who is bringing in a lot of joins? Now, it's normal to go in waves, right? You have waves you're in a momentum. You might have one leg bringing a lot of joins and another leg not. Someone's going to be in a personal growth momentum and getting ready for a momentum if they don't have the joins yet. Everyone's going to go in those waves. So you help those people where they're at, but you link arms and run and help and focus on those people who are bringing in those joins as well.
Yep. And guys, this doesn't mean that you love anyone else less. Mm-hmm. This is a business. This is a business. If someone's in a personal growth stage, they don't need your support. And I mean, they're growing. It's personal. But if someone is working and recruiting and bringing in joins, run there. They do need your help.
So you need to keep that bar high, because you are setting the standard for expectations of what your team is doing. So if you start to lower that out of feeling desperate or needing to drag people and get people working, or you go to your kind of weakest link, right, and you lower that standard because this is where they're at, this isn't where they're at, right? So you go to each person where they're at. That is lowering that bar and that standard for your strongest people. That's changing the whole dynamic of your team. So you don't go and lower your bar to where some people are at if they're not where that standard bar needs to be. It's not the time to step back and to put your focus on people who are struggling. You're going to help them, but you're not bringing your team there, and that's not where your main focus is going to be.
Yeah, you're going to empower them, not enable
And while they're growing there, go inspire them by being successful without them. You are not dependent on the most struggling person on your team. Go inspire them by being successful without them.
Exactly. So for example, if someone is, you see potential in someone, right? But they maybe will hop on a couple of book clubs or a couple team calls, but not all of them. And they'll do some of the work, but they're not ready for all of it. One, you got to see if you've set that standard high enough, right? And you've addressed this. But two, you don't just kind of meet them where they're at just to, help them keep going in terms of sacrificing what that standard is for your team, for your culture, for everything, right? So your train does not slow down for people who are not ready to jump on that train. They can just be a passenger for a minute until they're ready to put their work in, but your train is going. Everyone is in a different place in their business, so if you keep lowering it, they're not going to surpass that. It's the law of the lid, right? So whatever standard you are putting there, law of the lid, they're not going to surpass that. So that's huge. All right, let's move to action. Hard work is the standard. So hard work comes in waves. It should feel like a ton of work. You should feel tired.
Listen, when I was pushing for Emerald, I'm like, Brittany, this is so hard. She said, you're birthing Alexis. It's supposed to be hard. I was like, oh, well, when you put it like that, you gotta go work.
Yep.
It's supposed to be hard.
Yep. Sometimes that means there is not time for remodeling your house or picking up extra things. And, people ask you to do things. You have to say no to some things. I think you said that.
Yeah, you have to learn. It's okay to say no to good things so that you can say yes to great things. Sometimes the things you'll say no to, for instance, if this summer had been last summer, I was just asked to teach 4th grade vacation Bible school. No, I'm leading music. Leading music. But this time last summer, I would have had to say no, and that's a good thing. But I would have been like, you know what? I have a laser focus on what my vision is for the year. It doesn't align there. It doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't align there, so it's going to have to be a no. But you know what I get to say yes to this summer? Whatever I want. It's for a time. But say no. It's okay to say no to good in pursuit of great.
And it's because you're treating this like a business. So if you were to compare this to a corporate job that you're starting off from the ground floor, and you're going to an office or you're making sure that things are really good, you're probably putting in 10 plus hours a day. You're probably saying no to a ton of personal things because you have to show up daily and you are working your butt off, and there is no time to just not show up on a weekday when you're starting a business from the ground floor up, right? So you guys, we are starting a multi-million-dollar business here. What is at your fingertips? There is no cap. So yes, we have perks. Yes, we can work this wherever, at the beach, whatever we want to do. We don't have to show up for anyone. We're accountable to ourselves. But some people are taking it to the way extreme the other way, right? Of, hey, well, I can take big breaks. Or this just, I don't want to work hard right now. So maybe I'm going to take a few days off or a week off or a couple weeks off.
Yeah. It's like you're pushing a snowball, okay? The snowball's heavy and it's uphill, and if you stop for a second, what's going to happen to the snowball? It's going to roll on top of your head and take you back down the hill. And every time in your business, show me any person who has taken a break from their business and didn't start further back than they were when they stopped. Guys, when you get to take a break? When you hit what you say you're going to hit. You don't get to take a break raising kids at 14 because they smell bad. Right? You don't get to let off. You know what happens if you let off the brakes at 13, 14, 15? They go wild. Right? You don't take a break. And if this were as important to you as that, you wouldn't take a break here either. And you wouldn't understand what other people do. Somebody will say, well, I understand why she feels that way. Huh? I don't understand. If someone is saying, I understand why they feel that way, it's because they don't have vision. If they did, you'd be like, why? I don't understand. Help me understand why that feels so significant right now. There's always, everything's figure outable. If somebody has a massive hurdle in their life and they need to take a break, what they are saying is, give me a plan. Help me understand why, in spite of what's happening in my life, I can still be successful. Guys, I've moved the month that I hit Diamond. April moved, the same thing. I've planned weddings, I've had babies, I've had major surgery. I've had all these things happen in parts of my business, and all I need is a plan.
How do I continue to be successful even though this is happening? People don't mean I need a break. They mean I don't know how to do it.
And some of you twos or yellows are sitting here thinking, well, I just want to be compassionate and empathetic, and then I'm not being understanding of, they really do have it hard. They really have this going on. You can be compassionate and loving through the hard things and help them through in terms of not seeing that bigger picture and taking a full break.
Yep, and when you are compassionate and help them through and not let them off the hook, they're so grateful afterward.
Mm-hmm.
They're so grateful. Because in their brain, they've convinced themselves a break is the only way. And what you did is you showed them another way.
And you're doing them a massive disservice if we don't show them that way, right? If we're just thinking, well, I'm just being nice and I'm going to meet them where they're at and love on them until they're ready, there's a level of that. But if you don't show them that bigger picture and you don't move forward with that, then you are doing them a disservice of what they are truly capable of and possible with. And you will have time, so going back to the working hard, right? You will have time to take those breaks, to do those things when you reach those goals. When you reach a goal, I was right when you said that, when your kids are 14, 15, whatever, you don't take a pause when they turn 15 because that's their goal. Oh, they just turned 15, I'm good for now, right? So when you hit senior ruby, emerald, sapphire, and you are in momentum, you're like, oh, I just hit that next rate. Whew, I can breathe for a second. If you breathe, you will slow down your momentum. So you need to find that balance. This leads us into how to take a moment during momentum. Because you have to breathe, yes. But you have to keep going. You can't take massive pauses and think, okay, I just reached a big milestone. I just felt like I birthed that emerald Lexus and I need to breathe, right? So if you take those moments and they are too long of moments, it's going to massively affect your momentum. Stepping back because you are in a season is a very common word that sometimes gets thrown around. And season, I just don't like that word anymore. It's a mindset that gets thrown around and it's long periods of times. Oh, I'm in a season. You know what? Sometimes that just means you have excuses and you don't know how to handle something and you need to take a pause and you don't want to figure out, I just need to breathe or whatever it is. You might need some personal growth if some of these seasons keep coming up and they keep lasting too long and you have a pattern. What do you need to change?
Yes.
Okay. You're laughing. I don't know if you had something to say.
Yeah. I mean, listen, fall doesn't just keep coming, right? There are other seasons. If your season is chronic, grow. Okay? You can't just have a season. I love what she says. Can we please just get out of that mindset? I can hear her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was sound. Can we just move out of that? So, what is your way? Hard work has to be something that continues to happening. What do you need to figure out to deal with whatever you are dealing with, right? You need to address it. You need to analyze. You need to kind of take stock of what is going on in my life and what can I do to fill my cup? What can I do to address these things? And what do I need to keep doing? What's a non-negotiable, right? So just like if you have a corporate job, you can't just not show up to a meeting on a Wednesday, every single Wednesday, chronically, because you're tired, right?
So listen, everybody take a deep breath. We're going to tell you what to do instead, okay? Because how many of you have had some major life stuff happen since you've been trying to build a business? Major life stuff. Marriages, births, deaths, job loss, moving, PC. We get it. So there is an alternative to the season. There's an alternative to the break.
So take ownership, what we just said, take responsibility. Maybe write down what's going on. Put it on a sheet of paper. What am I dealing with? What are the things I need to figure out? What's overwhelming right now? And don't take advantage of your upline. I'm just going to pop that in right now and talk to them. If you are dealing with something by yourself and you're not communicating with your upline, with your spouse, whatever it is, there are so many things that you can do to figure out. Maybe you need to redo your schedule. Maybe you need to have a meeting with your spouse and figure out, okay, how can I change my schedule to make this happen? What can your spouse pick up? What can your kids pick up that needs to be done that you are taking care of right now? Maybe you need to make office hours instead of family hours. A lot of times when you're in momentum, work is work, right? And you're scheduling in some family time. Maybe for a very short time, you need to schedule in your work time But that cannot stay that way, because if your momentum, that is going to affect if you are scheduling small periods of time for your work time, right? Put your phone away for 30 minutes, like completely unplug for a little bit. That doesn't mean days on end, but take some time away, take some time to yourself. What are you doing to fill your cup? If you've gotten lax in the personal growth, in your Jesus time, in whatever it is that you do to fill your cup, get intentional with that and add that in your schedule. If you need to take Sundays off, have time to reflect, whatever that is. You're working hard, but what time are you taking for yourself to fill your cup? And analyze how much is productive and how much is wasting in the time that you're doing in your business. How many people can feel like you're working all day long and then you really didn't get much done, right? You can multitask 100% of your day, and you're not going to be nearly as effective as someone who is working a 4-hour slot and they are focused and honed in and working hard. So multitasking in momentum is like, I feel like the thing, right? You're working on the toilet, you're working and doing everything whenever you can do it. But take those 30 minutes and spend some time with your kids. Take those and put your phone away, whatever that needs to be. But if you're multitasking from morning to night and doing your business while you're doing everything with your phone, you're probably not as efficient as you think you are. You're probably scrolling Facebook. You're probably rechecking for messages that you don't need to check 100 times a day. So what are you doing to be efficient in the time that you have? What are the non-negotiables that you need to be efficient in? And what is the time that you can have to do those other things? I bet if you timed yourself, you'd find out how much is being wasted.
Yeah, and remember, this is the expectation during waves of momentum, right? There are times that it will ebb and flow like it does with every business. So we're not saying this is how you have to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. We're saying when momentum comes, be prepared to recognize it, and then be prepared to take advantage of it. It will be worth it.
So one thing to look out, we talked a little bit about this before, but looking out for management